Day to one and all. Welcome to Self-Care Sunday. My name is Jessie and I work at the Glencoe Public Library, which is the organization that is presenting this delightful stream today. I'm really excited for today's stream. We've got some great activities planned, and the theme today on Valentine's Day is self-love. These are some activities that you can do to show love for yourself. Alright, let's get started. First today, we are going to make an eggless chocolate chip cookie dough recipe. What's exciting about this recipe is because there's no eggs in it, and also because there's no raw flour in it, you don't have to worry about getting salmonella from eating the cookie dough. It's supposed to be eaten raw. In fact, the recipe says several times, do not bake, so I will not be baking it. Alright, so the very first thing that I did off stream because I knew it was going to take a while, is here's my flour. It's 1.25 cups of flour, and I baked that at 350 for about 5 minutes. Honestly, the heating the oven and the waiting for it to cool off took significantly longer than the amount of time it was in the oven. But the reason you put the flour in the oven for a few minutes is just so it's not raw. It bakes out any of the stuff that could potentially make you sick, so yay for that. So that's already done. But then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to mix some butter and some sugar. So I have here some vegan butter. It's 8 tablespoons of it, or 1/2 cup. I'm not totally sure why the recipe says 8 tablespoons instead of 1/2 cup, but whatever, they're the same. So there's that. It's at room temperature, so I've been letting it sit out for a little bit, just to get it to room temperature. And then we also need to mix in the sugars. So for this we have a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, which I always just call regular sugar. And I realized, there's no regular, all types of sugar are a type of sugar. But whatever, this is the stuff you're most familiar with, I think. Most people are familiar with as sugar. Oop. There's that. And then we also need brown sugar. So let me grab that. And we need 1/2 cup of packed light brown sugar. Okay. Try to make sure it's nice and packed in there. My brown sugar is a little bit clumpy because it's been in the pantry for a while, but my friend Emily, who is a baker, not professionally or anything, she's just really good at it, and not Miss Emily, or Emily who is on the stream a lot, who works at the library, it's a different Emily, but she assured me that my slightly clumpy brown sugar would be fine. I don't know if you could see that, but it's just it's just a single clump of brown sugar. But you know what? It's tightly packed, and that's what the recipe said, so I consider that a success. Okay. Now comes the part of the stream where I make a lot of noise. Last stream, that was because I turned on a blender, and this stream, it's because I am going to use my fancy hand mixer here. It's not that fancy. This is a pretty basic hand mixer, but in theory you could probably mix this by hand, but it's a lot easier if you have some kind of mixer, either a hand mixer like this, or a stand mixer if you have one of those. So here we go, we're just going to mix these two things together and make a lot of noise. Actually, no. Well, whatever, I'll look at it later. I don't know how much of this you hear because the sound is all coming from the microphone that's next to my mouth, but maybe you can't hear what I'm saying right now at all, and I'm just saying muffled things behind a mixer. It's fine, I'm not mad. That's such a weird sound. Okay, here's my pro tip. I like to use a wooden spoon to get the stuff that rides up on the edges. I don't know that that's really a pro tip, but it's helpful. good to me. Again, not sure if this counts as a pro tip, but I like to... Alright, that didn't really work. But sometimes you can use the mixer like outside of the dough, and the stuff that's on it will kind of whirl off. Makes cleanup a little easier, but that's okay. Emily, I'm really sad on your behalf that you can't put a Cookie Monster gif in the chat. It was a great tweet today. Let me see if I can find it. Here's my phone. From the official Cookie Monster account, because you can follow Cookie Monster on Twitter, as well as pretty much all the Sesame Street characters. Maybe not all of them, but I know you can follow like Cookie Monster and Big Bird and Elmo. Cookie Monster said today, "Me treating myself to all the cookies today because me love myself." I thought that was delightful. And that's kind of what we're doing here today. We are treating ourselves to some delightful cookie dough, because cookie dough is delicious and usually you don't get to just eat it. I mean, let's be real. I always just eat the cookie dough anyway, even though you're not supposed to. But this way, at least you can be like, well, this one is supposed to be eaten raw, so take that, haters. Okay. Mix in the milk or cream and vanilla until combined. Alright, so I have some soy milk here, hoping that is okay to use instead of milk. And if it's terrible, then oh well. This is all just a grand experiment of baking today. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of the milk, and this recipe, by the way, is in our packet for this week, which I don't think I've put in the chat yet, but I finally got my act together and got a bit.ly link that will take you to all the packets from all the Self-Care Sundays. Heck, this is my own fault for putting my keyboard all the way over here, but it's bit.ly/SCS packets, and you can go there. I double check that that's the right link by clicking on it. Yes, so you can go there and you can find the packet for this week and for all the other weeks, and the packets are just supplementary material that gives you like all the different recipes that we do and like worksheets and whatever accompanying materials go with that week's stream. So feel free to check that out, and you can find this recipe in there so that you don't have to like rewind me saying the measurements for stuff a million times. Okay, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla extract. So this recipe is kind of funky because it's like you can use like part of it says use a mixer, and then part of it says use a spoon. I don't know if the stream is back or not. I hope it is. Let me see. Store pages. Sure, do that.
It's a project called Fire Sign.
No, stop talking. I don't know who you are. Okay. Okay, it seems like, let me see. Okay, yes, it seems like we are back. The camera is slightly at a weird angle now. There we go. I am wearing my shirt that says "Stay in, read a romance novel" today, because that is the 2021 Valentine's energy. Sorry about that. My computer decided to stop working all of a sudden, so I had to restart it. Fingers crossed it stays working this time. So, back to what we were just doing. This cookie dough is what we were just doing. While I was waiting for the computer to restart, I mixed in the milk and the vanilla, because why not? And then the last thing is to stir in the flour and salt. That's not even the last thing. Okay, the next thing is to stir in the flour and salt. So the flour is already measured out. Salt, we need 1/4 teaspoon. Those of you who've watched previous streams might know. Whoops! Okay. Alright. It's a little much on the salt. Okay. It's fine. I'm gonna say, I used to have only a salt grinder, which made it really hard to measure the salt, but I finally bought a thing of pourable salt so that I could spill it on stream, apparently. That's fine. Alright, here's our 1 1/4 cups of pre-cooked flour. I never really thought about the raw flour in cookie dough being like a problem, but it kind of makes sense. So, yeah, the instructions here say either turn the mixer on low or just use a spoon. I'm just going to use a spoon because it's not as noisy and I can keep talking to you while I do it. So, in baking, oftentimes there are what we call wet and dry ingredients. The wet ingredients are usually stuff like eggs and the vanilla and milk if you have it, and melty butter. So that was kind of the first. This is a very typical baking recipe in that you mix together the sugar and the butter first, the wet ingredients as it were. No eggs, of course, because this is an eggless recipe that I have also decided to make dairy-free and therefore vegan. But, yeah, then you add the dry ingredients like the flour and the salt. And I don't know why that is, but that's just how baking is. Okay, this seems like has a dough-like consistency, I think. It's pretty close to what I want. I'm really tempted to stick my hands in there and, like, mash it up that way, but I don't really have any way of washing my hands while I'm on the stream, so I'm gonna refrain from that impulse. But you know what? If you are doing this at home and you want to stick your hands in the dough and mix it that way, live your best life. I'm not going to stop you. Okay, so the next and the final ingredient in our chocolate chip cookie dough is a 1/2 cup of regular or mini semi-sweet chocolate chips. Mine are actually dark chocolate chips. I'm really just deviating from the recipe a lot here, but they're vegan dark chocolate chips. I got these at Target, which was kind of exciting. I thought I was going to have a hard time finding vegan chocolate chips anywhere, but they were pretty easy to find, luckily. Anyway, again, I have selected these because they are dairy-free, and we need 1/2 cup in here, but you know, whether you're dairy-free or vegan or whatever your life is, these are a good option. Alright, here we go. These I have used before, and they're very yummy. So last step here is just getting all the yummy chocolate chips in here to make this into chocolate chip cookie dough instead of just sugar cookie dough. Chocolate chip cookie dough is the best because, I mean, A, it's delicious, obviously, but then B, it's a mix of like mushy dough and then the chocolate adds like a little bit of crunch. So I feel like it's a really good texture. Oh, this looks yummy. I'm really excited to eat this later. I would eat it right now, except I'm on stream and none of you want to hear the sound of me eating on stream. That's gross. So I will save it for later after the stream. And look how yummy that looks. Voila! And you don't even have to worry about salmonella. If you make this and you start eating it and your parents are like my parents and they're like, stop eating that raw cookie dough, you're gonna get salmonella, you can be like, no, this one is safe. You won't get salmonella from it. Do not bake it. That's what the recipe says. Do not bake. You're supposed to eat it like this, which I love that someone took the time to come up with. I mean, there's probably several recipes for this in the world, but I love that other people thought, I want to eat raw cookie dough. How can I do that safely? Alright, so what is next on our agenda? I believe it's the paper roses. Yes, it is. Hooray! So I have been dying to do some kind of paper flower program at the library for a while now. And the thing about paper flowers is it's a lot of fun, but it's not necessarily something that you would, like, do a whole class on. I mean, you could, but you probably need multiple types of flowers to make, and, you know, who knows if people would want to come to that. But I think it's a really good fit for this stream because we always have multiple activities. So this is something I learned. My original plan was to make a paper bouquet for my own wedding, and then I was like, well, because if you're not familiar with weddings, like maybe you haven't been to one or haven't been to many, there's a lot of flowers typically involved, at least in American weddings. aside from the bridal bouquet, the bridal party and the groom's party get flowers. The groom has flowers. A lot of times, close family of the bride and groom have flowers, like parents and grandparents. So it's a lot of flowers. And also, I found a local Etsy seller who makes beautiful, beautiful flowers out of paper. And so I decided to hire her instead, and I think that was the right move for my sanity. I know someone who made all her paper flowers for her wedding, and they looked gorgeous, but I know it was very stressful for her getting all that done. So, I was going to say recipe. It's not a recipe, I suppose. The instructions for this craft are in your packet, which I'll post that again in the chat, because I know when you join the chat, you can't see, previous messages, so I like to put the link several times in case folks are just joining us. So for these paper flowers, you can use any kind of paper that you want. You could use construction paper, or if you have fancy scrapbooking paper, or just plain white printer paper. If you want to make white printer paper roses, go for it. This specific set of instructions is for, they recommend using book pages or sheet music, which end up looking super cool. So if you're into reading or music at all, which I suspect we may have a few reading fans here on the library stream, those can be really fun to do this with. But again, whatever you have, whatever you want to use. That's what's great about a lot of crafts, is that you can just use what you have. I like crafts where you can just use what you have at home. You don't have to go buy specific things. So, what I have here is an old ARC, and if you're not a library person or someone who works in publishing, I will explain that an ARC stands for an Advanced Review Copy. Basically, it means a paperback version of a book that usually, sometimes it has a cover like this one that's nice and designed, and sometimes it doesn't. And a lot of times it's not quite the final draft, there might be spelling errors or things like that. But basically, publishers send them out as a way of promoting the book, so people can read the book before it comes out and go, oh man, this book is great, I want to order it for myself or my library or my bookstore or whatever. So, the library gets a lot of these, and we end up with a bunch left over, which actually, if you are interested in getting your hands on a free book or two or three, we have a blind date with a book program going on right now. So if you go to the library, go to our YA section, there's a table that has a bunch of books on there, and they're all wrapped in construction paper. The different construction paper colors are different genres. I can't remember what all of them are. I want to say red is thriller, purple is fantasy, green is sci-fi. I don't know. I wrapped some of the romance ones, which are in pink. And there's a little description on the front that kind of gives you an idea of the book, so you're not just choosing totally blind. But yeah, then you'll get a YA book. They're all YA books. You'll get your own ARC that you can take home and read, and maybe you keep it forever, and maybe you give it to a friend. Whatever you want to do with it. Plop it in your neighborhood's, what do they call those? The tiny libraries? What are those called? Little Free Library. That's what they're called. Whatever. But anyway. So, I thought I'd do a little demonstration here of how I get the book pages out of the book. So in case anyone at home wants to use book pages and they have, a book that's super beat up, or they have an ARC that they don't care about like this one, what I do is what you see me doing right now. This is an X-Acto knife. There you go, you can see it. You can get them at basically any craft store. It doesn't have to be X-Acto knife brand. In fact, this one says Hobby Lobby on it, so I'm guessing it's a generic. But, Little Free Library. Thank you, Emily. We got there. It just took a minute. So these are super helpful for crafting in general, and they're not terribly expensive. I actually got this one in college, and I've been reusing the same one because you can just buy new blades. And these are great for this type of cutting where it's flat, and scissors aren't going to do it. And I just open the book, and as you can see, I'm running the X-Acto knife over the same spot multiple times. what you want to do with an X-Acto knife is something's like thick, if you're cutting poster board or something, or like say the binding of a book. It's better to go over it several times with just a moderate amount of pressure as opposed to trying to push down really hard. Because pushing down really hard actually will tend not to work well and might rip the paper. So how many pages do I need for this? I think I need 3. I can double check. I have the instructions here, clearly. Okay, yeah, should be 3. So 3 pieces of paper, or if you have a big piece of paper, you could probably reuse. We could just use one big one. But what we're trying to get here is 3 4x4 squares. So, do I have a ruler? Yes, I do. Here's a ruler. The way I'm going to do that is I am going to mark this page up, and in fact, I bet I could get 2 from one page here. So this is how one old book ends up becoming a bunch of crafts. Okay. So I measured, obviously, 4 inches along the side here. Now I'm going to grab my scissors. This used to feel so, like, scandalous, cutting up a book. But I've done enough book page crafts now that it doesn't really bother me. If you find this scandalous, feel free to skip this portion. But this book was just going to get thrown out anyway, so I feel like doing an environmentally friendly thing here. Alright. So now they're 4 inches tall, and then here's a fun trick that I learned from an origami class a million years ago. All you have to do to make it into a square is you take one corner and you fold it over until it lines up with the bottom, like that. You could do this with any size paper, and you just cut off the leftovers on the end here, and bam! A square piece of paper. Amazing. You can use that to make origami. You can use it to make a cootie catcher, or you can use it to make a paper flower. Probably use it to make a bunch of other things too. I don't know. So, okay. We've got these. The next thing we need to do is fold them in half, the same way that we already folded them to make squares. So they're already folded on the right crease. Wow, amazing. Okay. Whoop. Oh, okay, and then we need to fold them in half a second time. Same way, so that it makes a little triangle. You'll just take one corner and fold it over to the other side. And we'll need 3 of these. So the next step after this is we're going to draw a petal shape on here. Now, oh, have I done this wrong? Paper in half again the same way. My picture looks different from their picture. Okay. How? What did I do wrong? It seems like I folded it incorrectly because there should be... Oh no, I did it right. Okay. I confused myself. Don't worry about it. Ignore everything I just said. This is correct. So, what you're going to do is you're going to trace the shape of a petal. Now, you want the folded edge to be on the bottom of your petal drawing so that you get the little flower shape you want here. So, if you wanted to, you could print off a flower petal shape. That way you could probably get more consistent looking petals. I'm just going to freehand it. A petal looks like half of a heart. Very appropriate for our Valentine's stream. Alright, so draw it like this. Yeah, draw it like this. Theirs looks different. Maybe I did it wrong. Okay, wait. Here's the folded part. Okay, they drew their flower petal coming off of... You know, I'm just going to cut this and see what happens. I'm engaging in self-care by dyeing my hair. That's a great form of self-care. I like to do things to my hair as self-care. We're just going to cut this and see what happens, y'all. If it doesn't work, I'll change it. Okay, no, this is not what you want. Alright, luckily I have extra. Just cut another square here. Alright, it's been a minute since I did these. I started doing them as I started doing them at the beginning of the pandemic, so that was when I did the majority of them. And I haven't done it in a bit, but that's okay. As I often say on this stream, it is not about perfection, it is about the act of engaging in self-care. So, let's try this again. I'm going to look at the pictures because the pictures are helpful. Also, what's helpful is to use a pencil for this instead of a pen, but I don't have a pencil. So, okay. So in their version, the swirly part, they draw like a half circle, like this. You know, this seems more like how I did it before. So, hopefully that image is helpful. So the arc of the flower goes from the folded side of the page, like the folded bottom of the right angle, up and around like that. Happy little accidents. It's true, I do have a cute little heart fold. It kind of looks actually like a bow tie to me, which I think is fun. Maybe I'll put it on like a teddy bear or something with their little bow tie. Okay, and then we'll do this once more with feeling. Actually, we'll have to do it twice more, assuming this one's correct, but I think it is. And then you'll also cut off, boop, the tip to make a little hole in the middle. So then when you unfold it, it's 2 pieces! I have done it wrong again! Alright, I swear I have done this before successfully. What am I doing wrong? So there's the folded part. Here's the other fold. That's what I did wrong. The good news is I have this whole book, so I'm not going to run out of paper. If you have, say, fancy scrapbook paper, it might be smart to do a couple practice ones with like printer paper or notebook paper or something before you use your fancy stuff, so you don't end up like me. Okay, I'm pretty sure third time is the charm. This time, I'm gonna unfold it. Nope. Alright, gang. Happy little accidents. Round 3. What am I doing wrong? Okay, right angle. It's a right angle, just like the picture. Here's the bottom fold. Here's where it opens. This is how they drew it. I'm following the picture. Following the picture, I swear. Picture's a liar. That's what I'm forced to conclude. Picture's lying to me. Again, I have done this before. Okay. Let's get a couple more 4-inch squares here. And we're not going to do it the same way because the last way we did it obviously did not work. Okay, triangle. Maybe I did fold it wrong. Fold in half. Fold in half. Makes a little triangle. We love a triangle. So to get it to be petals when it unfolds, petal shape has to go along the middle, right? part of my issue here is I also don't know which ways I've already done. None of that seems right. Okay, let me see if I can pull up another set of instructions, because clearly this set is not working for me. How to make real looking paper roses. Tell me. Tell me how to do it. Okay. I have to fold it twice? Oh, you guys. Okay, well, I'm gonna need to modify my instructions, I think, because the instructions that I put in your booklet, packet thing, only say to fold the piece of paper in half twice, but I think you're actually supposed to do it 3 times. So it's an even littler triangle. Let's try this. Oh man. This is really an adventure we're on today. I like it. I like a Valentine's Day adventure. Alright. Let's try this. This seems right. Cut off the tip just like before. It's got little bits of paper all around, but that's okay. I'll clean up when I'm done. Aha! Ta-da! Now we have a flower shape, which is what we wanted all along. And it's got 8 petals, and we're going to need 2 more of those, and I've cut up all my existing book pages, so I'll grab some more out of here. Oh, there we go. I don't even need my X-Acto knife. That one just came on out. Beautiful. This book is by Salman Rushdie, who is... Salman? I don't know that I've ever actually heard it pronounced. Anyway, he's kind of a big deal. Hi, James. I like your heart emoji. He's a big deal writer. This is an arc of his book, NBD. I mean, it really is NBD. It's just an old arc from the library, but I want to say he has cookbooks too, but I could be crazy. Or thinking of someone else with a different, similar name. But I've never actually read any of his stuff. I've heard only good things though, so probably should. Okay. I can't read this one because I've cut it up, but there's probably... If I had to guess, I'd say the library probably did buy this book, and then we probably have a copy of it in our actual library collection. But who knows? Not me, because I'm not in charge of ordering any books. I was going to say adult books. I'm also not in charge of ordering children's books or YA books, but I would consider myself an influencer. I know who does buy those books, and if I have an opinion, I will express it. Usually, we must buy this. If it's something I really love. Everything I'm knocking over here. Stop moving. Okay, here we go. Let's cut 2 triangles. We have to fold the hot triangle in half 2 times. I will update the packet after this stream so that anyway, people who try to follow these instructions don't do the same thing I did. I do it wrong like 14 times. You know what else I needed to be doing right now that I didn't? I'm the assistant YA selector. I mean, it's not an official job title, but I'll accept it. Emily is the official YA selector, and so whenever there's a YA book that I think we should get, I just tell her. Or sometimes I feel like you do consult me occasionally, like, would people in our community read this? Anyway. Point is, if there's a book that you think we should have at the library that we don't, there is a way to request that the library purchase something on our website. So definitely take advantage of that if you have favorite writers. When I asked if I wanted to be the YA selector, they also brought you along. Dude, I don't know. I don't know. is officially in charge of anything. To be honest, I am just here and I'm making paper flowers. Um, but yeah, if there's things you think we should have that we don't, please tell us. We love to hear from people. And we might just buy that book. Okay. I feel much more confident in my petal shapes now, knowing that they're gonna come out correctly. Oh wait, I drew that one wrong though. You have to draw it along the folded edge so that it makes the shape a bunch of times to make the flower that you want. Anyway, I just plugged in my hot glue gun. I got very distracted talking about that. You don't need hot glue for this. You just need some kind of glue that's stronger than like an Elmer's, or just, they call it school glue. But school glue is not great at sticking stuff to other stuff, I'm going to be honest. I use it a lot in kids' craft programs, and honestly the reason that kids use Elmer's glue is because it's easy to get out of like clothing and carpets and the tables. But it's really not that good at sticking stuff. So when I'm doing crafts, like there's no Elmer's glue in this house. I do not use Elmer's glue for my crafts. I use either hot glue or like a fast drying tacky glue. There's a specific one that I learned about in college when I was doing my scenic design class, because for scenic design you make little models of the set you want to design, and it's important for stuff to dry quickly, so that you're not sitting there holding tiny pieces of your model for like hours. And this one particular quick dry tacky glue that my professor told me about, she's like, this is what I recommend, and she's a professional set designer, so she knows. And I bought some, and it was great, and then one of my first library programs, I was like, I messaged that professor, because we were doing popsicle stick building. We were making stuff out of popsicle sticks, and Elmer's glue, because it takes forever to dry, was not going to cut it. I was like, we need something that's going to dry faster and be stickier and stronger. And I, no joke, Facebook messaged my old professor and was like, weird question, because I couldn't remember what it was called. I was like, what is the name of that kind of glue we used in scenic design? And she told me, and I bought some for the library. But yeah, this is why it's sometimes a good idea to be friends with your old teachers on Facebook, not people who are currently teaching you, but once you graduate. And it depends on the teacher. Some of them still won't be Facebook friends with you, and it's not personal. It's just people have different policies. But anyway, so the next thing we're going to do is, now we've got our 3 beautiful 8-petal flowers. So we're going to cut them up, and we're going to cut them differently. So this first one, I'm only going to cut out 1 petal. So we end up with one piece that's 1 petal and one piece that's 7. The next piece will cut out 2 petals. We're going to cut out the phrase "Father's father" that I see right here. There we go. So now we've got a 2 and a 6, and you guessed it, this third one we're going to cut out 3, so we end up with 5 and 3. So we're going to end up with every number of petals except 4. And then, this is, in my opinion, the fun part. Okay, I can smell the hot glue, so it's probably working. We're going to take all of them, so we'll set aside the 1 and the 2 petals, put those here, and then we're going to take the other ones, and I'm trying to make sure this is on camera. Okay, yes. Take our line of hot glue, or again, whatever kind of glue you have that's just a little stronger than Elmer's glue. I mean, you could probably do it with Elmer's glue. I just wouldn't recommend it if you have anything else on hand. And so we just fold one edge of the petal over the other, and ta-da! You have this little like 3D spirally friend here. And you're going to do that again with each of those besides the 1 and the 2 petals, because really, how are you even going to do that? I'm getting lines of glue all over this desk that I will have to clean up later, but that's fine. Oftentimes I'll do this on, what's it called? I don't know. It's like a mat, a cutting mat, that's what it's called. There we go. A cutting mat, not because I'm cutting anything, although, and I guess I'm using the X-Acto knife on the book, but it's just because it's a surface that is easy to clean. I know I'm not going to have to say, get hot glue off my fiance's desk, which I will have to do. Now, it's fine, it's dry, it'll be easy to clean. Obviously, be careful with the hot glue, try not to burn yourself. I use a lot of hot glue, so I burn myself a lot, but also I kind of know how not to. Okay, the 3 is the hardest. I started with the biggest one because the smaller they get, the harder it is to attach them. I guess I can also go over like this instead of under. So now we should have 4 glued together layers here. Perfect. And then this part is kind of fun. You can use a toothpick, or I have dowel rods, or I don't even think these are technically like craft dowel rods. I think these are skewers that I got at the grocery store for putting like kebabs on. But you could use a pencil, it's a little thicker. You could use anything really that you think will work for this. And we're just going to curl the edges of the petals. And I love this part. I find it very relaxing. And it makes the flowers look really nice at the end. So all you're going to do is just put the dowel on the back of the petal and just roll it backwards a little bit. And then it'll stay folded and look like pretty curling rose petals. So depending on the size of what you use, you know, a pencil's going to make slightly wider curves, I don't know. Whereas, you know, with a toothpick you'll get kind of a tighter shape. But I just love how this affects the final look. It's just a really simple step that really makes it look like a real rose, because real rose petals do that. Roses are my favorite flower. Thus, why they're the one I learned how to make and that I chose to do for this stream. But you can find all kinds of paper flower tutorials online. Sometimes they come with templates of shapes to cut out. I like this one because you can kind of freestyle it. And it's fun to do like with a TV show on in the background or while you listen to a podcast or something. Because once you get into the habit of it, you know, like once you figure out how to fold your triangles correctly, you know, you kind of don't even have to think about it. You just do it. Okay. So for this one, we are going to fold the 1 and the 2 piece of petals. I'm going to do them all. I actually don't super know how to do it. Well, no, I do. It's the same thing. Roll it back. Petal. Petal. Okay. And then the last step, once we've curled all our petals and they look beautiful, is we are going to assemble the rose. And this part I also think is pretty fun. So, we take our biggest piece here. It's pretty simple because you can tell which ones are the biggest versus the smallest. This is our biggest one here. Oh yes, the example one I'm looking at has 6 petals, so I wonder if they actually did fold it differently and successfully get a rose. Because this one has 8. It's fine. Anyway, all you're going to do to assemble it is just, you're going to glue the smaller pieces into the bigger pieces one by one. So, I'm going to glue that in there, and it helps if you get the petals, for like realism, it helps if you could get the petals so that they don't all go the same way. If you can see that, it's like, if you did theater ever, you know about, or dance, you know about standing in windows. You kind of want the petals to be in windows so they're not curling over each other, but they look like they're kind of... Very glad I remembered to get an extra tube of hot glue. I actually just brought the whole bag over because I need to put that in there to get the glue to come out. Alright, here we go. Oh, that's not where I meant to put that. It's supposed to go here. It's fine. I have this little piece of paper here under the hot glue gun, theoretically to catch the little glue strings, but as you can see, I'm still getting them everywhere. I also keep making the flower where you can't see it off camera, which is less helpful to you. Okay, there we go. So those all go inside each other. Then we put 3 petals. You can see it's starting to look like a rose, which is fun. It's got all its different layers of petals. Okay, and then the last 2, I'm trying to remember how these go in. I don't know why I'm checking the instructions. They weren't helpful last time. Okay. The 1 petal and the 2 petal, I feel like what you do with them is you kind of roll them on their side like this. The dowel rod would be helpful here. Slash kebab skewer, whatever this technically is. So you roll it up and it makes like this little inside part of the rose. I could be wrong. I don't know if this one's going to want to go in there. It does not. It really is not helpful to me on these last small pieces what to do with them, but I'm just gonna glue the 1 piece in there and call it good. That's the fun part about doing crafts is, you know, do what you want. You don't have to follow the instructions. I clearly didn't. Alright, so it's not the most gorgeous rose in the world, but I think it's really pretty, actually. I really like how it turned out. And then the last thing to do, and I'll be honest, I've never actually done this step, is you want to put something in the middle to be a stem. So I think a really good thing for this would be like a green pipe cleaner, if you have one. Or you can put some string in there. I've thought about maybe making a bunch of these and putting them on a string and like hanging them. Have like a string of roses as decor in my home. Right now I'm going to try using this dowel rod. But theoretically you should layer this in such a way that there's still a hole in the middle when you're done. Oh, that actually worked. Okay, here we go. Now I have it on my dowel rod, which is ridiculously long compared to the rose, but I don't know, I feel like rose stems are kind of like that. They're really long. So now you have a beautiful paper rose. You can make a whole bunch and make a bouquet. You can have 1 single one. You could, I don't know, do whatever you want. Make 1,000, make 0. It's up to you. But yeah, that's a paper rose. Made of book pages. Okay, so technically I have 7 minutes left of this stream, but also we were interrupted midstream by computer issues. So I'll probably go a few minutes over 3 o'clock. Unplug my hot glue here. And fortunately, this last activity doesn't exactly eat up a ton of time. The roses ate up a little more time than I expected because obviously it took me a little bit to get one of the early steps down, but that is okay. Again, not about perfection, just about having fun. So this last activity is something I picked up pretty recently, but I've really been enjoying it, and so I wanted to share it with y'all. And this is, so there's kind of a broad world out there of calligraphy, faux calligraphy, hand lettering, and all of it is really good. Well, I don't know about the hand lettering. I'm not an expert, I'll tell you. Like I said, I just picked this up myself, but just fancy handwriting, essentially. And it's really soothing to practice drawing all the strokes of calligraphy, I have found. And I've experimented in my home with like different pens and stuff, and it's a lot easier to do calligraphy if you have an actual calligraphy pen, which I do because I bought one because I decided I was really into calligraphy. It's fun. It's a great thing to do. I do it a lot during class, actually. My classes are on Zoom for grad school, and it gives me something to do with my hands if I'm not taking notes. And this particular class is a storytelling class, so a lot of times I'm not taking notes, we're just talking about stuff. Anyway, so I put these worksheets in the packet, which again, I will update that packet, and I'll put the link in our Discord as well, so folks can, it's already there. It's the pinned message in the Self-Care Sunday channel. So if you're not on our Discord, you can go to bit.ly/GPL, the GP and L are all capitalized, that's Glencoe Public Library, and then lowercase Discord, Discord. You can join our Discord and chat with like-minded folks about books and memes and current events and more memes. And it's a lot of memes, which is great. I love memes. So anyway, calligraphy, I've learned, is essentially all about strokes. And by strokes, I mean individual, like, movements that make up a letter. So there's 3 kinds of strokes, at least in English. I guess there are in every language. There's downstrokes, upstrokes, and middle strokes. And if you're thinking that's a lot to handle, don't worry about it, because for faux calligraphy, all you need is to worry about is the downstroke. And the downstroke is anytime your pen is moving downward on the page. So again, in the packet, there's these worksheets. And what makes this faux calligraphy as opposed to calligraphy, in regular calligraphy, you hold the pen lightly when you're doing an upstroke and heavy when you're doing a downstroke, and that's kind of what gives it its look. But like I said, it's kind of hard to do that without a calligraphy pen, so if you just have normal pens in your house, like most people, faux calligraphy can be a really great option, because what you do here is you're going to draw the shape of the letter, just like you normally would, and then you're going to go back to the places where you did downstrokes and just fill in, like you're going to draw a line and then fill it in so that it looks like you did a heavier downstroke, even though you really didn't. So it's kind of like if you've ever done that style of handwriting where you draw lines on the side and then fill them in. I used to do that a lot in school so that I could, I don't know, just write song lyrics or whatever in a slightly fancier font. So clearly this is something that I have been interested in for a while, but I only just recently started, like, watching videos and following calligraphers on Instagram and stuff. So yeah, the worksheets, they look so, I mean, I've not done a handwriting worksheet since elementary school, and probably most of you haven't either. But what's nice about these is they give you the outline to practice, like tracing over it, and then you can practice a few more times on your own on that line. And you can find a bunch of these online. Some of them you have to pay for. There's a lot of different, like, fonts and styles of writing that you can find. I really like this one because it does the whole alphabet for you. So you can practice all the letters and figure out how to combine them to make any word that you want, any phrase or sentence that you want. Oh, I forgot. Okay, I wasn't just gonna do the worksheets on the stream. I was gonna do inspirational quotes. Alright, let me flip over wait, these are double side printed. Okay, so quickly I'll show you that at the end of the worksheet there's thank you and happy birthday, so you can practice those phrases if you want. But in addition to just the fact that, like, writing the calligraphy I find really soothing, it can be really helpful and fun to write out quotes that inspire you. And I know that sounds really cheesy. You know me, I am not afraid to be cheesy on this stream. But I want to take a second to kind of expand our definition of an inspirational quote. Because for me, a lot of inspirational quotes just fall flat. You know, they feel really cliche and they do not motivate me. I was looking at planners recently and it was down to 2 that I wanted, and then one of them I saw they had inspirational quotes on each page, and I was like, oh no, I'm getting the other one, because I don't want these inspirational quotes. But what motivates you might be totally different from what motivates somebody else, so I'm trying to think of some quotes that I have in different parts of my house that are, like, kind of random, like, one is a quote from the podcast Welcome to Night Vale that says, all the world's a stage, all the men and women merely stagehands, and the actors are rocks and moss, and the audience is the void. Which is obviously a weird quote, but I like it. And I like to read it and to look at it. I had a quote all picked out, too, that I was going to do on this stream, and now I do not remember it. It might have been the Les Mis lyrics, even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise, but I'm not going to lie, that's a little long. I don't want to keep y'all here forever. I mean, not that I'm keeping anybody. You can leave the stream at any time. It's totally up to you. Shoot. It's okay to relax in a terrifying world. That's another one I like. Also from Night Vale. Alright, I don't know. I'm just going to write the word breathe, because that is a surprisingly helpful reminder. You might think to yourself, what? How do you forget to breathe? You need to breathe to live, and that's fair. But believe it or not, it's surprisingly easy to hold your breath when you're in a stressful situation and not notice you're doing it. So, taking a deep breath when you're stressed, super helpful. We've done some breathing techniques on this channel before, so you can go back and watch those, or, like, you know, watch somebody who actually knows what they're doing on YouTube or wherever. Oh, that looks really nice. I like how that bee looks. Okay. So yeah, the idea here is you can put this, like, in a formal location, like, you know, you might make this into a piece of art that you hang on your wall. I'm looking at the picture here to figure out how to make these letters. Oh, these look so nice. I really like this font, I guess, that I've chosen here, which I guess is why I chose it. But yeah, you could make this into a piece of art to hang on your wall. You could put it in your notebook, you know, in class, if you need something to do with your hands like I do during class. It can be in your planner, if you like inspirational quotes in your planner, unlike me. And, like, absolutely no judgment, by the way, if sort of the more traditional inspirational quote is something you enjoy. If you love a standard inspirational quote, you love that quote. Or all the quotes. I just find that I tend to gravitate towards slightly less traditionally motivational quotes that are motivational for me personally. It's all about what works for you. Self-care is all about what works for you. Okay. I am really liking how this is looking so far, I'm not gonna lie. I did a project recently. Yeah, craft project. Where I took some song lyrics I really liked. They're partially in English, partially in Spanish, but the song lyrics talk about flowers. And so, as I've mentioned on this stream before, I'm getting married in the fall, hopefully, assuming all goes well in the world, And so I have bridal magazines sitting around, and if there's one thing bridal magazines have a lot of pictures of, it is flowers. So I cut out all of the flower pictures that I could find and covered a whole sheet of paper in them, and then I cut out the letters from the magazine to spell out the song lyric that I liked, and I hung it on my wall in my office, I guess. It's a additional bedroom in our apartment that I use as an office, so sure, it's in my office. And it's nice to have to look at while I'm doing homework or whatever else I do at my desk, usually homework, but, you know, sometimes reading emails and other things. Okay, this looks good. I'm excited about this. I'm going to practice with this template a bunch more times because I really like it. So, there we go. This is our completed Breathe in faux calligraphy. I'm not going to lie, that looks a lot better than most of the calligraphy I try to do. Oh no, it's the camera's out of focus. Go back. Go back. There we go. Ah! Alright, well, I'm not going to stress about it, but, that's my Breathe in this font. It's kind of funky doing that because I'm so used to, like, not lifting your pen when you do cursive. And for this one, like every letter, I've been lifting my pen to fill it in. I suppose, in theory, you could write the whole word and then do the emphasis parts, but again, totally up to you. There are also calligraphy worksheets they have that don't even have letters. They're just the strokes that you can practice. Those are especially soothing, I find. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Valentine's Day for our Valentine's Self-Care Sunday stream, or if you're watching this later, thanks for watching this later. We'll be back on this channel, so Self-Care Sunday is every Sunday, every second Sunday of the month at 2 p.m., so we'll have another one in March, and in April, and in all the months. And we're also here on the stream every Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. On Fridays we do a library live stream, so we'll play a video game or watch a movie or something. And then Saturdays we have our game nights for middle and high school students who want to come join us, or, you know, we're not super picky on age, I'm going to tell you the truth. We're not going to ID you or anything, so. Anyway, if you want to participate in that, it's on this same channel. And I hope everyone has a lovely Valentine's Day, whether you have a Valentine or not, doesn't matter. I hope you take some time for self-care today. I'm gonna go eat this delicious looking cookie dough mixture, and see you again soon.